Sup flappers, welcome back to another video. So we're bringing this video to you today. I didn't think I needed to make this one, but a lot of people during my live stream and in comment sections have been asking me, yo, I'm thinking about Klee or Kazuha, really thinking of picking up one of these characters, so which one should I pick up? Now, I'm gonna make this video for you guys right now, and I will go over everything you need to know as fast as I can, as efficiently as I can, as to not waste too much of your time, okay? So let's just get right into it. Between Klee and Kazuha, it's a very weird comparison to make because you're comparing two characters who, personally, in my opinion, are likely going to be put into two categories. I don't think Kazuha is going to be a main DPS, as just in a Nemo element, you don't have many characters that can actually function as a proper main DPS, with Xiao being the only exception, and others requiring heavy investments to make them work. So essentially, we are comparing main DPS in Klee to a potentially support DPS or support in Kazuha, alright? So, of course, let's start with Klee. Klee being a Pyro Catalyst user, she currently has one alternative, I guess, in that is a 4-star Yanfei, and while Yanfei is superb, she does require you to get some constellations. I would say constellation 4 before she even feels adequate enough to be your main DPS. However, once you get C4 and maybe even more close towards C6, Yanfei starts to feel like a very potent and powerful main carry. I would say even in parts more suitable for general player base to play and pair with, as she is a newer character, which means her kit, her constellation, everything just flows better, and she's well updated to the current meta. That is not to say Klee does not fit into the meta or she is completely outdated. Currently, Klee still outperforms even Diluc, which is an amazing carry that is still played to this day by many players. But of course, if we just look at Klee's constellations, it quickly becomes apparent that her kit was designed in an era where constellations were more about build up and leading up to Constellation 6, as opposed to the newer constellations such as Ganyu, Hu Tao's. I've talked about this issue many times. The post Zhongli buffs, miHoYo has really gotten a much better understanding and grasp of what the players want and what they are willing to spend on, meaning that constellations nowadays means they're more front-loaded. C1 usually is the second best constellation next to C6, and sometimes even C2 can flow very well together with C1 in making a character feel much more complete and offer more of their kits. Now, with that being said, Klee's constellation does not really do this, and while she has decent constellations, they are most of the time just not flowing together with each other very well. And if we're talking about full character potential, she does feel a bit lackluster compared to other DPS options. So in that regards, for people who have the money, or for people who are planning for long-term investments, like, oh, I'll pick up Klee now, or I'll pick up 2 constellations of Klee now, and eventually move up to that C4, C6, you're not going to get your money's worth, to be completely honest with you. So it's likely better that you go with another main DPS. Of course, people, if you enjoy these characters, you don't need to be watching these videos, right? But of course, if you're here for validation, I can also tell you some of the good points about Klee. Klee hits slow, but she hits very hard. Like I said, she still does more DPS than Diluc, and that is saying a lot about her DPS potential. Her being a Pyro main DPS gives you a lot of free room to pair her with amazing units for that Pyro Resonance and battery, such as Bennett, Xiangling, and for a more niche playstyle, you can even pair her with someone like Xinyan to get that perfect harmony. A lot of people who are watching may be worried about having to animation cancel with Klee, but you also don't need to worry about that, as it's more of a fine-tuning mechanic for min-max trying, as opposed to something that is absolutely necessary to unlock the potential of Klee. You will do just fine if you never animation cancel once, as long as you pair your teams right, you get the reactions down, you'll still be able to hit those mouth-watering damages, right? Like 6-digit figures. It doesn't take any constellations. Instead, as long as you have a Mona, you'll be able to hit those numbers, right? And that's a whole different issue that we're going to go to, because I guarantee you most people watching this video right now don't really know exactly how to work with Mona. And if you want that, as Klee comes out, I'll most likely make a Mona guide or a Klee Mona pairing and show you how the interactions work and break down. Okay, so overall, Klee's biggest strengths are that she has really high damage potential. She has consistent damage output all throughout her damage rotation cycle, so meaning she has very minimum downtime with DPS output. But the downside is she has very outdated constellation tree, as well as she can feel clunky to some people, and she feels very slow, and you are locked into her attack animations when she is attacking. Following that up with Klee's charge attacks being a very close range attack, meaning that if you really want to get it down, you most likely will have to forego some of the advantages of being a catalyst user, having that range, and you have to really stick close to your enemies. All right, so having a shielder on the team usually is very beneficial. And if you want to run Bennett with Klee, that means you really leave out the shielding position to someone like second tier shielders like Jinyan, or if you already have Zhongli, then you'll have the best shielder possible. Meaning free-to-play players, not only do you have to secure Klee, you also have to secure someone like Zhongli to really get maximum efficiency out of Klee. So, with that being said, let's move on to Kazuha. When it comes to Kazuha, a lot of him is still shrouded in mystery. It's because I can't talk about his numbers, and also because he is not out yet. There could be still last minute fine tunings that we don't know of. And of course, 1.6 did not give us the information about the elemental mastery buff that miHoYo was talking about. I remember them talking about this buff directed towards Anemo and Electro elements, right? Elemental reactions. So when it comes to Kazuha, we really don't know his full potential yet. However, just talking about this right now, Kazuha already runs into some potential problems, meaning that Kazuha is in a very competitive position, being shrugged in with Venti, Sucrose, both of which hold their own, right? We're not going to talk about the healer position because he's not a healer, but we even have Genie in the healer position, and main DPS, we already have Xiao in that position. Support DPS, I guess Venti is also another great candidate to pit up against Kazuha. So realistically speaking, Kazuha doesn't really just slide into the game into a role that currently is unfulfilled, unlike some of the older characters. And this is a trend we're going to start seeing because there's only so many characters that you can come up with before they start overlapping. And I think Kazuha is starting to fall into the category where he's starting to overlap with some of the other characters and has now fallen into, instead of, hey, he does his one thing and only he does it, into something like, well, here is an alternative to someone who can do things that other characters can do, but also maybe offers some other mixed match playstyles. And when this starts happening, either miHoYo makes his damage numbers cranked up to the top, overpowering previous alternatives, or he has to fill a position that currently isn't available. So we already talked about that. He does not. Ultimately making Kazuha have potential identity issues. All right. However, if we're just going to be comparing Kazuha with someone like Klee, most likely the safer bet for most players is to go with this new support or support DPS in Kazuha versus Klee, because Kazuha is a newer unit. Even if power creeping is concerned, Kazuha will be the one doing the power creeping as opposed to getting power crept on by other units. Now, this is not set in stone. However, I am more likely to bet on Kazuha being the overall better choice, just both in the fact that he is a support character or a support DPS character, meaning he fulfills more roles and he can fit into more team comps. So for not just whales and dolphins, but even free-to-play players, you get more usage out of someone like Kazuha as you would Klee. We are currently developing into more late game metas for the overall player base, so people who are playing this game right now likely won't need many more main DPSs, and it's time to really bolster down and pick up some of these premier support DPS and support characters. Okay, so I hope this video has helped break down these two characters for you, their pros, their cons, and also my personal opinion is that Kazuha will be the winner for this comparison. Thank you guys for watching, and make sure to tune in for tomorrow's video as I make one every single day. You can support me by subscribing, liking the video, or commenting. Do whatever you want, right? I'll see you in tomorrow's video. Until then, stay safe and peace.